Charting Toward Intimacy covers mature topics. Listener discretion is advised. Charting Toward Intimacy covers mature topics. Listener discretion is advised. Hey there, welcome to Charting Toward Intimacy, where we're expanding the natural family planning conversation. I'm your host, Ellen Holloway. All right, we are here with Christy Murray today, and Christy's going to be telling us a little bit about her story, her journey through infertility. So Christy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Ellen. It's nice to be here.
I am super excited to hear your story, Christy. So could you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself first?
So I call myself an infertility survivor. Now mom of two. I went through infertility about, more than 15 years ago. Right now, I'm currently a provider, a medical provider, I'm a nurse practitioner. But when I was going through infertility, I was not. So big gap there. I've learned so many things throughout the years. And actually going through my journey of infertility is what drove me to go to school, learn so much more, and then pursue and then help women. And now my passion is really to help women get healthy and help women go through infertility and hopefully get pregnant.
That is fantastic. Oh, such a good mission.
Yes.
All right. So tell us a little bit more about your journey with infertility then.
So like many high-achieving women, want to do everything, led pretty active life and pretty healthy, always had regular cycles. So didn't really think anything was wrong.
Yeah.
Got married kind of late 30s, and then decided to have kids, or decided it was ready. We were ready to have kids. I was on birth control for a few years before that. So then it was not happening. And so at 6 months, started thinking, okay, what's going on? Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. And then it just took longer and longer. So I sought medical help, and I was told that, you're still young, just keep trying. You haven't been trying a year, which was a disappointment because, to be told that and just okay, what do I do in the meantime? So I was left to do my own research. So then it took us actually about 3 years to achieve pregnancy, who is now, he's my 13-year-old. But I just remember it was heartbreaking. It was a roller coaster of emotions. It was expensive. And just trying to get bits and pieces, trying to be my own detective, trying to investigate, okay, what is wrong with me, trying to keep track of my symptoms. And then I'd go to specific providers and then telling them, hey, this is what's happening. What could this be? Could this be it? And how can you help me? So I ended up going to a naturopath, an OBGYN. I saw an acupuncturist.
Wow.
Yes. And I think I even did the Maya womb massage. I just everything that I can find that would help. Meditation.
When you're in that situation and there aren't answers, you just turn everywhere. Where is there going to be an answer? And I think it's just such a detriment to our healthcare system that our OBGYNs aren't given a good intro to just the fertility cycle in general. It could be a half-hour class. If they just had that amount of info, it would change so many women's lives.
Yes, exactly. And now being in the field, I actually work in women's health. There's a lot of gap between just body literacy. Mm-hmm. That knowledge there, oh, is this normal? Oh, this is not normal. How does this work? So yeah, and then I find that it's detrimental information that will carry you through, the childbearing years, and not even just childbearing years. It's just being healthy as a woman, because our physiology is different, very different.
Right. It is so healthy to cycle. Mm-hmm. It is not healthy to be stagnant like a man. It's healthy for a man to have just normal hormone levels that stay the same. That's not the case for women.
Mm-hmm.
And our healthcare system seems to want to think it's healthy for both sexes to be on this like level,
Uh-huh.
unchanging path.
Most of the studies out there are done on men. And there's like, so when you look at a study, really, it's really important to make sure that is done on women. And what's like the age group of the women that's the studies performed on.
That is such a good point. I hadn't even thought about that of yeah, like our medical studies for medicine, they need to be thought about. Like they really should be separated of how does this affect men? What are the symptoms and side effects for men? And then what are the side effects and symptoms for women? Like that. I hadn't even thought about that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So like all those research, all kinds of things that I've tried on my own. And then all of this led up to we did 3 cycles of IUI. I told myself, we're going to do step by step, and everyone knows IVF is expensive. So that wasn't like our straight, okay, let's do that right away. So yeah, we did 3 IVF cycles. And then I said, okay, if the third one does not happen, we'll go see an IVF specialist, which is, as being Catholic. But I was just like, okay, well, let's just see, let's do the consult and see how it goes after the consult.
Right.
I was living in Alaska. There was no specialist here, so we had to fly somewhere. I, of course, researched some more. The internet was not as fast back then, and then so I had this binder of like all this information. I had my medical records, my labs, my everything. So, and then like everything I researched on. And then I found a specialist in California, which we said, okay, let's go on vacation and let's go see him face to face. And we saw him and he asked me, okay, when is your cycle? And I said, it's this week, it's coming. And he said, well, you should do a pregnancy test first before we do the consult. I said, no, we're going to do this consult. I flew all the way here. My husband's on the phone. We're going to do this. And he said, yes, we will. But while we're doing this, we just make sure, let's do this while your, test is brewing. Let's talk. I'm like, okay, fine. So I did. And then, so we talked about the protocol and his plans, and he looked at my records. And then someone came to the office and gave him a piece of paper. And he said, oh, well, we don't need to do any of this anymore. And I said, why? He said, well, because you're pregnant.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then I was still in disbelief. So I said, I don't believe that. There's another Asian lady that's about my size. You probably switched the sample. I said, I want blood work.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was it ended up being, having a beautiful ending, and I credited it to all the changes that I had made, with my body. Because even now there's so many treatment, there's so many medicine, technologies evolved. But I think every woman should take charge of their health. And there's things that you can do at home with your diet, with your lifestyle, to augment whatever treatment you pursue. That way, your body will be ready.
Yes, exactly. Wow, what an interesting kind of blessing of not actually, God stopped you and was like, please don't do IVF.
I know. Exactly. So yeah, it's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
In the
oh
end.
my gosh. That's amazing. So, looking back, is there, or what would you tell yourself like before this journey started, before you started having trouble, conceiving? What would you tell yourself now if you could?
What would I tell myself now? So, having the experience of infertility and then having the medical knowledge that I know now, I would just be more aware of my body.
Mm,
Just
yes.
be aware of what's going on. Because I started with, I would work out a lot and then I wouldn't sweat. So I'm like,
Interesting. Yeah.
yeah. So I was like, this is not right. Like working out hard. Am I not working out hard enough? I wasn't sweating. So then when I went and saw a naturopath, and she said, it's thyroid issue.
Wow.
So then
Yeah.
I
And
got
that
on.
can cause a lot of issues with
Mhm.
our cycle health.
Yes, exactly. So, and how I like to explain to people, it's like a domino, one can be off and then everything
Yes. Yes,
throws
that's such a
everything
good
off.
point. Well, and I think that's what happens too when women take the pill too. The pill becomes a domino that can then kind of
Hmm.
affect a lot of other things in our life and or in our health. Um, but yeah. So and I believe you already said this, but when you started uh trying to conceive, you didn't really know anything about the fertility awareness world. You weren't tracking your cycle. Yeah, so none of
No,
that.
so it's just like, hey, it's normal. You do what you need to do, and then you're supposed to be pregnant because everything,
Right. I
my
think that's what
cycle
our
came every month.
that's what our culture tells us. They're like, oh yeah, like you can just get pregnant when you want to get pregnant. Like that's, it's just it's turning on and off a light switch, right? Taking the
Mhm.
pill and not taking the pill.
And
Um,
then when you're younger, you're taught to avoid it because you have your whole life ahead of you. You're supposed to do certain things, finish school,
Yeah, yeah,
get married.
exactly. Exactly. You're supposed to, there's a perfect order you're supposed to do it in,
Hmm.
and and there's a pill that makes it possible to do it in that order.
And I
Which is
followed that order.
so untrue. Yeah, I love what you said, Christy, about like what you would tell yourself back then is really be aware of what's going on. And that doesn't just mean tracking your cycle. Like, yes, that can tell us a lot of info that can help us figure out if there is a certain specific underlying issues, but being aware of everything else, like what you said, being aware of the fact that I'm working out hard and I'm not sweating. And that doesn't seem right because everybody else talks about how when they do a hard workout, they sweat. You know, thinking about those things in your life, or I just don't sleep well. Everybody talks about how they sleep through the night. I wake
Hmm.
up 5 times throughout the night, every night,
Yeah.
and I don't have a child, that's waking me up.
Yes. And people, and like culture nowadays, they're proud of it. They're like, oh, I only need this much sleep and I can function.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
because you're
Yeah.
slowly killing yourself.
Yes. Oh my gosh. We need sleep. Our bodies
Hmm.
absolutely need 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night as
Yeah.
an adult. Like if you're regularly getting less than that, that
Hmm.
could be affecting your cycle. It absolutely could be affecting your cycle because your cycle is affected by stress, and not getting enough sleep is stress. And there's so many other things in our life that are stress. A thyroid issue would be stress. It
Hmm.
all boils down to certain levels of stress, right? Being sick stresses our body. Missing nutrients stresses our body. And so if you think about it, and it can be positive or negative stress, I'm like on a soapbox right now,
Hmm.
just about.
Yes. Well, like I used to be one of those people, like I said, high achieving. So always wanting to do something. So if I only have this much time to sleep, and then I always wanted to work out. So I would actually sacrifice sleep and wake up early so I can work out.
Mm, mm.
And
That's the
being in,
question. I mean, everybody talks about that. They're like, is it better to get more sleep or is it better to do my workout? I would argue it's better to get their sleep. Like
better to get sleep.
that is so much better for our regular functions. My goodness. Yeah. And we do that so much in our culture as we like do this.
Yeah, the
Well,
hustle culture.
yeah, this hustle culture. Thank you. I was like, I couldn't figure out the word I wanted, but yeah, it's like, oh, okay, I have to get, this huge long to-do list of things done today. And my to-do list is more important than my sleep. And that's not the case.
No,
Not at
yeah,
all.
everyone should be putting their health first because it's more trouble and more expensive to start fixing things versus trying to prevent what you need to fix in the future.
Ooh, that is such a good point. Oh my gosh. Is there anything else that you would go back and tell yourself, like maybe less on a health perspective, but maybe more on a
Mhm.
like mental side, which is absolutely still health, but
Yeah.
um, is there anything else kind of on that side that you would want to go back and tell yourself?
Um, I would put meditation and like time alone as priority, like really make yourself a priority. Um, Either like start appreciating the things around you, start appreciating what you
Mm,
have, and start looking for support. And because really, so now actually there's a lot of organizations, a lot of groups about, trying to conceive and infertility. Back then there was none. It was like,
mm.
it was a label of shame. Like, oh, you're not getting pregnant. What's wrong with you?
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry that that's what you experienced.
Yeah.
There should be no shame in infertility. This is, this is not a shameful thing.
Hmm.
And
And
this
I
is,
think that's why I do what I do, to like
yeah.
get rid of that stigma and just give voice to women so they can go and get help. Because yes, the mental aspect of it is really important. Um, it does just start with your mind. Your mind tells how your emotions feel. It's not the other way around. You can actually control your emotions by just like thinking yourself through, look, it's not a big deal. And then you start calming down. It's easier said than done,
Yes.
but
I feel like I have recently kind of discovered that just in the past couple of years of just like I think one of the things that I focus on a lot is like the excitement versus anxious feeling or anxious, nervous feeling,
Mhm,
that like they produce very similar chemical reactions in your brain. And so if you're
mhm,
feeling anxious, nervous, if you feel anxious, nervous, and you put a smile on and you think about how you're actually really excited about the thing, you can really shift that mindset
mhm.
into a much more positive emotion. Yeah, I've experienced that, and I do that a lot whenever I'm feeling anxious, nervous. Like, oh, you know what?
Yeah.
This is excitement. I'm excited about this situation, this new exciting situation, and
Uh-huh. And you
um,
shouldn't be scared. And just like the simple thing is like, walking around seeing the best in people, and instead of assuming the worst.
yes.
It's whatever wolf you feed. You want to feed the angry one or you want to feed the calm one?
And I love what you said about, appreciating what's around you. I think there is so much to be said about starting your day with a tiny bit of gratitude, whether
Mhm.
that's in a gratitude journal, writing down, here's 10 things I'm grateful for that happened yesterday or that I
Exactly.
have, or, and 10 is like so small. You can come up with
Exactly.
10.
I did one thing actually I started doing back then is, speaking of 10, I would start like writing down my 10 requests to Jesus. So I
Oh,
would
yeah.
write it down or I would type it and then I would fold it up and then I'll put it in a binder. So, and then
Yeah.
I made it a point, not just, it's not all about me. I would pray for other people. And then like when I would do so much of it, then sometimes I'm number 7. I'm like, who else do I need to pray for? And what else do I need? So then I started thinking, well, I'm really doing good here. I don't have a long list of like I want or
Yeah.
request. So I'm sure
Yeah.
that helped with the mindset as well.
That's beautiful. And yeah, I think as we grow our prayer life, we realize more and more how much Jesus really provides for everything we need. And that list of needs gets smaller, and that list of, or, needs and requests gets smaller, and that list of gratefulness gets bigger,
Mhm.
as we, grow and deepen our relationship. I love this. This started out as an infertility journey, and now we're talking about prayer life.
Yeah, because
It's
it's all
all
part
connected.
of it. Yes.
It's all connected. Was there anything else that you wanted to mention kind of about your journey, your story,
Mhm.
anything along those lines?
So I just wanted to mention that since, this became a passion for me now, um, a passion born out of, what do I say? a mission, a mission born out of passion. I am doing, so I just keep learning. So now I'm into functional endocrinology, doing really a deep dive on how to help people. So if people are interested, or women are interested in that, and not just if, if you have like other issues as a woman, especially if you are trying to get pregnant, you're welcome to download my freebie. It's called fertilityboostingfoods.com. Because really it's important to start, from within. Whatever you feed your body affects how it functions.
Fabulous. And I'll put a link to that in the show notes so you guys can click that and download that list. That's fabulous.
Yeah. So then, yes, final words for people. I know we live in in a hustle culture, like how we talked about.
Yeah.
Just make sure, don't be proud that you're busy all the time, and don't be proud that you only need so much sleep. It's not a badge of honor.
Yes. Oh, that's such a good place to end on. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Christy. Keep that in your mind today. Those of you listening, it is not a badge of honor how busy you are. Yeah. Rest.
Rest and make your health your priority.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much, Christy, for coming on and sharing your story and just how you've journeyed through that and all about mindset. It's beautiful. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed hearing Christy's journey through infertility. This month of April, I've been focusing on sharing some stories of women who have faced infertility, because this week, actually, that the podcast episode is going live, is Infertility Awareness Week. And so it's really important to share these stories. I think in the secular world, Infertility Awareness Week is often focused on procedures like IVF and IUI. And both of these stories that I shared this month were healed through more restorative reproductive medicine. So I hope you enjoyed listening to them. If you are not following Charting Toward Intimacy on Instagram, be sure to follow us. And if you have any questions, reach out to me via email or on Instagram. Links to those are in the show notes. Until next time.